Namaste. Hello, everybody. This is Astrology by Mark at astrologytalkradio.com. Want to share a little bit about the solar eclipse that we just had a day or so ago. It was actually really late, just past midnight, Saturday night, um, when when the solar eclipse was taking place. Specifically, the eclipse was the path of the eclipse was going through the Antarctic area, so Antarctica. So none of us are going to see it. You might have seen a little bit of it if you were like in South America. Um, so the eclipse has effects for it's traditionally some of the more intense types of influences are typically around, a few weeks before and after, sometimes up to a month. Some even say the influences can last, you know, um, past the eclipse. The influences maybe up to 3 or 4 months. Um, Now, how does that affect you or all of us? The the influence really we have to take into account where your chart is, where your rising sign starts, and especially where your sun and moon are, and then we can get some more specifics about how those effects are going on. Um, so, you know, I think I want to talk a little bit about the the eclipse in relation to the country, the U.S. Um, the eclipse has taken place in the 12th house for the United States. So, 12th house is about issues behind the scenes, deep, dark secrets that people don't want to really talk about or don't feel comfortable talking about. Even kind of like afterlife issues, life death issues. Um, there's some 12th house strong influences that way. But the way I'm seeing this is that it's like a lot of stuff behind the scenes that um, the powers that be, the government, may not necessarily want to just share openly. Um, and the eclipse itself, how does that affect that? Um, it will actually, if you look at it from a physical perspective, how, okay, eclipse blocks light and it doesn't allow us to see clearly about what's going on and that sort of thing. Um, but there's also a revealing kind of experience through the kind of metamorphosis process of the eclipse. Um, Metamorphosis, why do I use that? Because it's kind of like what are the kinds of things that transpire through that experience is what I'm saying. So an eclipse um, can really help actually bring out um, kind of issues behind the scenes that are covered up or that are secret or powers that be don't want to talk about or have revealed. I know I've mentioned this before where um, in conjunction with the eclipse, Jupiter's going through Aquarius now. And for the next, um, where are we? We're December, and through April, Jupiter's going to be in Aquarius, the sign of Aquarius, which is the third house for the country, the US. Third house is about communication, media, marketing, commerce, all that kind of thing, short travels and that sort of thing. Um, Jupiter aspecting that and moving as fast as it is, um, it's going to bring out more awareness because Jupiter is about expansion. Jupiter is about knowledge, about teaching. It's about well, the traditional, even mythological kind of story around Jupiter is he's like the guru planet or the guru planet. You know, he is the wise teacher, the sage, the spiritual master type. That's what guru represents via the planet of Jupiter. Now, Jupiter represents lots of different things. Um, but what I want to add is that, yes, I mean, it depends on the aspects of what is influencing the Jupiter. So if they're, let's say let's say Jupiter is really badly challenged, or what I mean by that is aspected, or there's a like, think of line of sight, like something's looking head on at Jupiter, or something is conjunct right with it in the same sign. Maybe it's a challenging planet or an enemy planet type thing. Maybe it's one of the nodes, the Rahu or Ketu, the aspects of the points of eclipse that I've talked about before. Um, if they're negatively aspecting the Jupiter, then I mean, you know, you could have a like a cutthroat lawyer that no conscience, just it's all about money and winning. You know, that could be an aspect of that. So there's lots of different. There's just a whole gamut of different things around um, all the planets. You know, so they each have their pluses and minuses, or their positives and negatives, or ups and downs. You know, so it's just how we interpret it from the different aspects that we see influencing them. So that influence of the third house for the country, well, going around this whole thing, um, we're talking media. We're talking media outlets having to come forward in a lot of ways where they will be revealing more about, things maybe behind the scenes that were kept under wraps. Um, Maybe about the whole virus thing, and like, okay, pros and cons, what's real, what's not, what's true, what's not, you know. And So over the next several months, there's going to be more information coming out. I mean, I know the circles I walk in, my close friends, well, I mean, we don't watch a lot of news um, because so much of it is bought and paid for, you know, meaning it's just influenced to the point of like the owners of the stations basically saying, we want to air this and that's it. This is our prerogative, and this is basically, the owner's going to say of the media stations, we're going to talk about this and not that, even though this over here that we're going to talk about is a bunch of fluff and bullshit. Um, it's important to be able to see through that, what's real, what's not. And I think there might be one station that I'll turn on once in a while, and I can appreciate some of the things I hear from that station, but it's only that station that I'll turn into once in a while, not a lot. Um, so that being said, you know how can that help you? Um, I think it's something about how we can take the information and learn from what we're seeing, and how we can tune into ourselves and really think about like these whole past 2 years. How many of you have thought to yourself, this is effing bullshit? And okay, so is it like, well, I don't agree with all of this, and you're buying it as a truth, and you're buying it as truth, and there's a part of you that might be buying into the fear about the how dangerous the virus might be type thing. It's the flu. So I'm sharing all this because the the influence the influence of that voice inside, of when we're watching something on TV or the media, or we're reading something, and um, we're thinking, this is crazy, this is absurd. So has there been that experience for you where you've thought, okay, this is just all bullshit, or no, there's something to it, this could be dangerous, be careful. I'm not saying don't take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. And I do that every day, of exercise and supplements and meditating and getting enough rest. And um, but I share all this because I want to encourage people to continue to listen to that still small voice that oftentimes is awfully quiet, but there's something kind of rumbling inside, and something's not sitting right when you're hearing something. That not sitting right when you're hearing something, listen to that, because that's the kind of like the essence of truth kind of hitting your heart and soul. And it's like, something's up here. I'm not buying all this. And I share that because we should be seeing over the next few months more information coming out that will reveal like different things of like, I knew that was bogus. I knew that, you know, um, and just be aware of that kind of thing that we're going to be hearing more about. How that influences the Oval Office and the individuals sitting in there. Because his chart, Biden's chart, I have his astrology chart. Um, there's going to be some challenging aspects for him over the next couple of months. And as I've mentioned before, um, it's to the point, this influence, these transits that are happening. And a transit is literally just the planets moving through the zodiac. And they're just happening to move through a particular sign within the zodiac. And for example, according to Biden's chart, I mean, this was hitting his first house, this eclipse. Now, the first house is indicative of when you're referring to the human body. The first house relates to the head. So, um, that being said, what could an eclipse mean? Well, losing one's head, but I mean, figuratively, I would interpret that as kind of like maybe he's having more mental challenges, having a harder time um, being coherent with, being able to speak uh, clearly for extended periods of time. Because I know there were times when I was listening to him over the last several months where I was just like, how is he still in office? Um, and but here nor there, I share this because I just would encourage people to be aware, to pay attention, and to listen, and to follow your gut, and just kind of like, how do you interpret the different things going on, you know, from everything being revealed. When you listen to yourself, and sometimes you may disagree with what others are doing, but you feel like, no, I feel like I really have to stay the course with what I'm doing because I don't agree with what's going on over there. Um, listen to that. Listen to it, because you're listening to something that is speaking truth for you. And I'm not saying um, we're all going to agree, but what I am saying is, listening to that, where we feel like we have to honor what we're feeling that is true for us, will invariably, support us always. It may create situations where it closes a door on us and we're like, oh, okay, no job here. Um, but another one will open somewhere, somehow, some way. You know, don't don't worry about some of the difficult choices sometimes that we have to make, because we're following that little voice and that we're feeling like, no, this I have to respect this. Um, so the transit over the next few months should be revealing more of that information from the world of the media and the government, for the country, of like certain things going on, and um, kind of like maybe, for example, if you're watching the news and you see like several Supreme Court rulings have basically said, no, this is unconstitutional. You can't do this, Biden, to these companies. Force this mandate on them, and these Supreme Courts have been ruling um, against the White House, going, no, you can't do that. He can do it against the federal government, um, which is something I get to deal with, since I'm my 9 to 5 is working with the IT world and in the government. Um, so um, just be kind of really more and more aware and pay attention, and I think individually the eclipse will do, certainly. It will have very specific influences. For example, personally, um, this eclipse is hitting my 10th house of career, vocation, and all of that. Great for astrology and all that sort of thing. Um, However, challenging at the moment with, um, my other position of work of IT. So there may be a change. And I'm not sure yet, but I'm just kind of keeping tabs and paying attention. And there could be just a change within the department that I'm at, type thing. But, you know, that's just an example I would want to share with you, on a personal level. Um, so, what else? Um, Jupiter's going to be there, like I said. The eclipse is in Scorpio. And what else? The Like I said, that like I said, for the country, that 12th house influence of the eclipse, it it could also bring about, awareness or the revealing of issues that are, very really secret. Like maybe there might be, like months and months ago, last year actually, before it was right around the time the the virus hit, type thing. Like a year, 2 years ago, there was news coverage of UFOs, uh, and one was spotted near some military, naval vessels, out on the eastern, uh, in the Atlantic somewhere over there, and it was caught on camera, um, and it was, you know something that the military and the government actually gave to the news media, for them to air. So it's like, hey, we got something called a UFO here flying around, and it was doing stuff that our aircraft can't do. Um, that's definitely that kind of behind the scenes secret stuff. That's 12th house issues. So there may be like more phenomenon kind of coming forward or being revealed, or more people may be seeing stuff, over the next several months, that is like, hey, okay, that's not man-made. What's going on? I love that stuff. Um, but I'm an Aquarian, and that means Saturn rules Aquarius, and Saturn is all about practicality. Saturn is all about, you know, it's show me. I want to see it. And no, I haven't actually seen a UFO personally, but I've had some other experiences that I'm not going to go into. So, um, that type of information coming forward is definitely, that would be a 12th house type thing, and the eclipse there would be an indicator as like, okay, something unusual may very well be coming forward within the news media type thing over time, over the next few months. Um, and yeah, just keep your eyes and ears open, and also just just so you know how I look at this and the UFO world and that sort of thing. If if they're here, which I believe they are, there's just too much information out there if you research it. So I have no doubt, but I've been studying and with an open mind and just paying attention to like what are these individuals saying who come forward saying they've had an experience around UFO or they've worked with on around that kind of equipment, Area 51. Um, if they come forward, I listen very carefully because there's so much bullshit out there. There's some crazy people that just have these amazing, fantastic stories that are just bullshit. But then you do have others that are legitimate. And you kind of have to, you know, really kind of sift through some of these interviews and just go, okay, I'm calling bullshit here. But this other one, there's too much information that it's it sounds authentic, you know, that kind of perspective. Especially when, for example, if somebody's kind of grandiose a little bit or about what they're sharing, um, I call bullshit real quick. Um, it's just it's just after years of meditating, and you're around individuals where you feel like, okay, is this guy just putting me on, or are they for real? You can pick up pretty quickly um, what's true and what's not. What else? So just know that I wanted to share that because, and let me let me share this other thing too because I didn't finish my train of thought. If something is actually here from another galaxy, from another planet, if you think, and here's my Saturn kicking in. So Saturn, just so you know, Saturn is about practicality. Saturn is about like it's like Missouri. Show me this. It's the show me state. Just show me, then I'll believe it. Um, which I have some respect for. Just because it's not a bad thing to have in up here. Like when it's like, okay, let's see the facts. Let's just see everything. If a craft can come thousands of light years from another location, and when I say light year, for those that don't know, 1 light year means traveling at the speed of light for 1 year. That's what a light year means. Traveling at the speed of light for 1 year. If a planet is 100 light years away, um, 100 light years. Okay, so you need to travel for 100 years at the speed of light to get to Earth from wherever that location is. That's too slow. I mean, if you just, okay, rationally think about that, well, okay, traveling for 100 years at light speed, okay, clearly light speed is not fast enough. Hello? Okay, so what else are they using? My point of sharing all this is if someone has the tech to move faster than the speed of light, and they get here, I don't think they're going to be of the mentality that it's like, okay, we're here to conquer you. The reason being is because I've heard so many stories and reports about the level of technology that is very, very powerful technology. And the more we have the awareness of how to work with higher levels of tech or more levels of greater levels of power, because it's all about creating that propulsion, if you will. So if somebody has the tech to be able to move from one star system to another star system within the blink of an eye, or just within a couple of weeks, let's say, I don't think they're going to be of the mentality that it's like, yeah, we're here to conquer you. That just feels like bullshit, because it's like, think about the millions of years it would take of evolution to get to a place of of being able to harness that kind of energy. That's that's a lot of energy, and that's like some major tech. You know, just think if we had taken a car and you go back in time 1,000 years, or take a cell phone and go back in time 500 years. Um, People are going to think that's magic. They may burn you at the stake, um, but that would be like something magical to individuals, the scientists of that day, of that era, way back when. So if you think about the process of evolution, I just think that, these beings and others that are out floating around, ET and family and friends, I think there is pretty much a great deal more benevolence than dark intentions and all of that. I wouldn't be surprised if there might be something of that somewhere, but this is getting on a whole other topic that we don't need to go into, and I've kind of veered from my astrology talk. But it's still dealing with space. So definitely uh, keep your eyes on the world of media and what's happening in DC and what those folks are doing. And if you have any questions about the eclipse, of how it may influence your chart, give me an email. astrologytalkradio.com. And also I have that astrologytalkradio@gmail. You can get me there too. But I have a different email on my website as well. So blessings to everybody. And all the best, and we will talk again soon. Namaste.